up, you guys? It is Mary. Welcome back to Life is Mary, you guys. Today we are going to be having an art conversation, and I am so here for it. It is a piece of art that has currently gone viral. It is the Martin Luther King statue that has been unveiled in Boston. And actually, it's located at the place where Martin Luther King had, led that march, and then it's actually located at where the end of that march happened. So I'm not exactly sure what's the name of that place is called, but that's basically where the statue is currently staying. It was created by Hank Willis Thomas. I really wanted to talk about it because, as an artist, I've been an artist for about a decade. I went to school for fashion, but I also minored in painting. And I did sculpting for about 2 years before I actually even went to college. So, I just want to talk about it just from an artist perspective, and of course as a black woman. I just want to kind of give you guys what I thought about it. Let's get into the facts first, and then we're going to get into the opinions. Okay, so it's created by Hank Willis Thomas. He is known globally for diverse art. So he has kind of been known for this for over a decade. He's been very hardworking. And this statue is actually 20 foot tall and is 40 feet wide. And it's a bronze statue made out of bronze. And it is actually the largest statue in the U.S. that's dedicated to racial equality. It's a symbol of Boston. And during the whole process of this statue coming to life, it actually took them a total of 6 years. It was a total of 126 submissions that they had. Submissions is basically where they will put out an ad, or they'll put out a competition for a bunch of artists to come and submit their ideas for an art project. It ended up being a total of 5 finalists, and the people of Boston actually are the one who even chose him. And I think what they had to do is they had to show what their idea or what their design was going to be, and then they decided to choose based off of that who they wanted it to be. The reason why this statue is being held in Boston, one is because of a bunch of historical reasons. One, of course, with that march that he had. I think it was on a bridge. And then also because, one, he met his wife, Corletta, I think that's her name, in Boston. And then also that's where he got his PhD. So a lot of things started and occurred for Martin Luther King in Boston. So, yeah. And then also this particular statue also commemorates a moment in 1964 when he had just won the Nobel Prize for all the work that he had done. And it was just a moment where he had kind of embraced his wife. The artist Hank, he said that what he really loved about this statue is that it kind of represented a moment of love that we don't really see with the whole Martin Luther King statues. He said that he also loved the fact that it was about teamwork. He wouldn't have been able to do all of it if it wasn't for his teammate, his life partner, Corletta, who has really helped him go through this whole process, and it has really been, a solid place for him. And what he really loved about the statue was just the embrace that he had, where he basically is putting all of his weight on his wife, and she was really just holding him up. And it just seemed like he had such glee and such happiness in this moment that he had actually won and that his work was recognized. And he loved the fact that it really showed this teamwork, this team spirit. And he also said that he has also been inspired by his own life. And he was really inspired by, his mother, who was a photographer. And he also was kind of inspired by a song called Grandma's Hands. That movie with Tyler Perry, where all these people were like gyrating or whatever. It was, My Family Reunion, I think it was. And there's like Grandma's Hands. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, y'all just go look up the songs, because I ain't finna be singing on here. But he was also inspired by that. He said what he's really inspired by is that, women, they do so much with their hands or whatever, and that, a lot of things happen through, their blood, their sweat, their tears, holding up a family, nurturing the family, taking care of the family, being there for the man. Like, women do so much, especially with their hands. So what he really loved is how she was holding him up in that embrace of love. And when you look at the statue and you actually go into it, it looks kind of like a heart. You have to really see the statue from several different angles. You can't just see it in one angle, because if you see it in one angle, you may see, as my mom so kindly put it, an erect member. you have to really see it in all angles, in all facets. You know what I'm saying? He said that when you actually go into the statue, you kind of actually get to walk into it, and you can actually see the heart of their embrace. It's kind of like you're in the heart of it, like you're right there with them when they are holding each other and embracing one another. And when you look at it from the outside, there's a point where their hands are like this, so it kind of looks like a heart almost. You know what I'm saying? So, from an artistic standpoint, I totally understood and got what he was saying and where he went with this whole statue, because sometimes you don't want to just do a regular statue. You don't want to do the same old, same old. I mean, how many statues have we seen of a public figure where it's literally just them in a standing position or in some pose that they did that's historical? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he did not want to be boring. He wanted to be unique. He wanted to do something different, and that's what he did. And he really kind of drew inspiration from himself. He drew inspiration from Martin Luther King. He looked at hundreds of thousands of photos of them, and it was this one photo that really spoke to him, and he really wanted to create a piece out of this. And you know, I totally understand it. I totally get it. Like, when I actually watched it and heard what his inspiration was, I'm like, as an artist, I get that. I totally understand it. He had a concept, he executed it well, and he did good. My only qualms about it is I feel like it has to really be almost like, not a photograph, but it has to be a moment in time that is very, very well known. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like either what you have to do is somehow you have to let people actually kind of understand what it was. Because not everybody's going to research it. Somebody's going to see it online one time and be like, okay, whatever. So you have to be able to be like, you have to kind of create a piece of art where people can kind of see it fully without them having to really squint too much, I think would have been the issue. Like, I feel like, you know, like, there are moments and times where you will always kind of remember something that happened, like the whole thing with Will Smith and Chris Rock. If you have a statue that kind of was like this, where you have like the missing head, right, and you just have like this moment in time where you slap somebody, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, even with that, I mean, like, if somebody were to make a statue of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, I feel like you still would have to have some type of indicator that that's who these two people are. Because I mean, it could be of anybody slapping somebody. Unless you titled it The Slap, then maybe people would understand. But I feel like it has to be a really well-known moment. I feel like it was a risk. He said that it was a risk for him to just go ahead and do a statue of just these hands. You know what I'm saying? Which it is a risk. But I mean, it's not the beauty of life and the beauty of art. Most of the time, some people aren't going to get what the hell you're making. But as long as you get it, that's what matters. And if you can really explain it to people where they understand it, I feel like that matters. But you know, some people don't want to have to explain their art, and if that's the case, then sometimes it's okay not explanation to it. You know what I'm saying? But I just felt like maybe a piece that was of this magnitude, maybe it would have been best if he had added maybe a head. Even if it is just of the embrace, it's a beautiful statue, but I think maybe he could have just added the head. You know what I'm saying? Of, you know, Corletta. Even if it was just of like them, like their noses from here down. You know what I'm saying? So people aren't saying that, oh, it's some sexual act that's going on. When my mom told me that, I literally was just like, because at first I didn't really even get that. Like, I mean, at first I was like, well, what is that? You know what I'm saying? But then I had to go and look and understand what it really was. And I got it. But I feel like this type of statue, you can't just see it. I know Kim Kardashian currently went to go see it. But if it was a picture of it from that angle, then maybe people would have been able to understand it. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like it's a risk. I felt like he did a good job. But I know some people are feeling like this was really an insult or whatever to his legacy. You know what I'm saying? But I felt like it wasn't a bad statue. It wasn't a bad piece. And I don't really think it looked like somebody, you know, grabbing someone's weenie. I really didn't. You know, and I don't think it looked like Jodeci who was being choked out. Not Jodeci, but who's that guy from that movie? I don't know. Somebody was saying that looked like somebody that was getting choked out. I just did not really see that. I was confused. I was like, what is that? But when I looked at it, then I was like, okay. But you have to really try to research it. I know there are some statues where you're like, well, I shouldn't have to research and do all this stuff to know what the hell I'm looking at. But the artist wanted to do something different. Can we really fault him for that? So yeah. I'm not really mad at the statue. I just felt like, you know, he probably should have just added the head. The head of them. You know what I'm saying? Even if you want it to be unique or whatever, I felt like it's a great concept. It's a good idea. It's a huge risk. But it's not a risk that, I don't understand. I completely understand it. My only thing is, which, I mean, no one's asked, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. The whole thing about her holding him up. I know it was a really difficult time, and I mean, honestly, if I'm being honest, I am somebody who kind of more so agrees with Malcolm X than Martin Luther King. I also am somebody who kind of does not agree with a woman having to hold up a man in most situations. Like, I just feel like, you know, a man should be holding up a woman more than anything. And I just feel like the embrace itself seemed kind of uncomfortable, because it's like she's kind of trying to hold on to him, but it's like he's putting all of his weight on her, and that's not necessarily really comfortable. So I mean, yes, the embrace, their love and all that stuff, you know, is a very sweet notion. I'm just not somebody that really jives with a man putting all of his weight on me. You know what I'm saying? Whether that be physically, emotionally, spiritually, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand that it was a different time in life, you know. That was a time where most black women were trying to hold black men up and be there for them, and they were really holding stuff down. And that's how it was, where we just kind of just had to be there for the man no matter what was going on, you know what I'm saying? So I do understand that it represents a time of where that was, majority of the time, that's what was going on. I mean, now we're kind of in a time where women are kind of like, I want somebody who takes care of me, who loves me, who supports me financially, emotionally, spiritually, and everything else. So that's kind of like where I am. I mean, I'm 24. That's kind of my generation currently. That's where we're kind of going. But yeah, but besides that, I totally get it as an artist. But let me know down below, do you guys agree? Do you guys think that no, it still looks like a sexual act that's going on? Or do you like, or after this video, are you like, well, yes, I understand it? Just let me know down below, and let's have a cute little, interesting little art conversation. I love talking about art, so I'll be doing more of this. If there's anything that you guys want me to talk about art-wise, please leave a comment down below, or better yet, send me an email and send me the information. But it's Mary. I invite you guys to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below.